You ever just stop and think about one of the biggest mysteries out there? Seriously, how do you go from one single, tiny cell to, well, to you? Trillions of cells, all working together, perfectly organized into your heart, your brain, everything. It is a wild journey, and today we're going to decode the secret language that makes it all happen. Okay, so let's just jump right into the big question, right? How in the world does that one initial cell know what to do? Where's the blueprint? How does it have the instruction manual to build something as ridiculously complex as a person? Well, the answer has a pretty simple name, but what it describes is just mind-blowingly elegant. The whole process is called development. And listen, this is way more than just getting bigger. It is a masterpiece of biological engineering that turns that one cell into a whole symphony of life. So let's start at the very beginning, where all of us in all multicellular life begins. We are going to follow that incredible path from a single, solitary cell to the amazing, complex organism that is you. It all starts right here, with just one, a single fertilized egg, what scientists call a zygote. Just let that sink in for a second. Everything you are, your sense of humor, the color of your eyes, your ability to even process what I'm saying right now, all of it was once packed into the potential of this one little cell. Incredible. Now, this journey from one cell to trillions, it is anything but chaotic. It actually follows a super precise set of rules, kind of like a biological master plan. We can basically break this whole grand construction project down into 5 major rules for building a living thing. And here they are, the 5 pillars of development. First up, you've got growth and cell division. That's the obvious part, going from one cell to trillions. But just having a giant ball of identical cells, that doesn't do you much good. That's where number 3, differentiation, comes in. This is where cells start to get jobs, becoming a muscle cell or a nerve cell or a skin cell. Then you need pattern formation to organize them, to make sure your eyes end up on your face and not, on your foot. And finally, morphogenesis is what sculpts those organized cells into things like a hand or a heart. Now, for this explainer, we're going to zoom in on that amazing 3rd step, differentiation. How does a cell decide what it wants to be when it grows up? So, yeah. How does that whole differentiation thing actually work? How does a cell choose its future? Well, the answer is all about understanding a cell's hidden potential. And that potential has a name. It's called cell potency. The word itself actually gives us a massive clue. Potency comes from the Latin word potens, which literally means having power. So when we talk about cell potency, we're talking about the power a cell holds inside it, the power to change, to transform into something else. But here's the thing. This cellular power isn't just on or off. It's more like a spectrum, a hierarchy, from the most powerful, can-do-anything cells all the way down to the super specialized ones. Let's break down this cellular chain of command. At the absolute peak of this power pyramid, we have totipotency. This is the ultimate, the highest level of cellular power you can get. The name says it all. It comes from the Latin totus, which means entirely. A totipotent cell can build the entire organism, all of it, from scratch. That very first zygote we talked about, yep, that's a totipotent cell. It has the power to create every single cell in your body, plus all the support systems, like the placenta. It is the master architect of life. Okay, so as the embryo develops, after just a handful of divisions, the cells take their first step down that hierarchy. They lose that total power and become pluripotent. Plurimus is Latin for very many, which is perfect. These cells can still become very, very many different things. Muscle, nerve, bone, you name it. They're incredibly versatile. But they've lost one key power. They can't make the placenta anymore. Embryonic stem cells are the classic example. Think of them as amazing builders that can build any room in the house, but they can't build the whole house and its foundation by themselves. And as development keeps going, the cells get even more specialized. They become either multipotent or, eventually, unipotent. The best way to think about this is like a cell choosing a career path. A multipotent cell, like a blood stem cell, has committed to the blood industry. It can become a red blood cell or different kinds of white blood cells, but it can't just quit and go be a brain cell. Then you have the unipotent cell. This is the ultimate specialist. It has one job and one job only. A skin stem cell, for example, its only purpose is to make more skin. So this table just lays it all out perfectly. You see that progression, right? You start with totipotent. the entirely powerful cell. You move down to pluripotent, with very many powers, then to multipotent, with several powers, and you end up at unipotent, with just one. It's this beautiful, logical journey from unlimited potential to becoming a focused expert. So, okay, we get the different levels of power, but how does a cell actually commit? How does it make a choice and lock in its destiny to become one thing and not another? Well, it happens in two big stages. First, a cell becomes specified. It starts to lean towards a certain fate. It's got a bias. But, and this is super important, this decision can still be reversed. The cell can still change its mind if it gets different signals. But the next stage is determined. And that's it. The choice is locked in. It's now irreversible. A cell that is determined to be a brain cell cannot, under normal circumstances, be talked into becoming a skin cell. Its fate is sealed. Its fate is sealed. Or is it? This is where modern biology gets really, really cool and starts to feel like science fiction. What if those supposedly final, irreversible decisions could be rewritten? I mean, that's the question that is driving a revolution in science right now. What if a totally specialized, determined cell could be sent back in time, biologically speaking? What if it could go back to a state where it had way more potential? This process actually has a name. It's called dedifferentiation. It's pretty much the biological equivalent of hitting the rewind button. It's about taking a cell that has already picked a career and telling it, hey, go back to being a student again, full of all those wide-open possibilities. Scientists are trying to turn the one-way street of development into a two-way street. But we've got to be clear here. This isn't science fiction, but it is the absolute cutting edge of research. As the science tells us, this whole process is incredibly complex, and honestly, we don't fully understand it yet. It's what scientists are working on right now, trying to figure out the secrets. And that leaves us with a really deep final thought. If a cell's fate isn't as final as we used to think, what could that mean for the future, for medicine, for aging, for everything? Could we one day learn how to give old or damaged cells a brand new beginning? We're still translating this secret language of life, and the next chapter could honestly change the world.